Welcome to the channel. Finally, we have the big news of the day, of the week, of the month, of the year, and that is the immigration levels plan have been disclosed, have been published, has been announced. We got a bit of a insight, a bit of a teaser onto that yesterday, but at least we knew we could sleep peacefully knowing that there are no drastic reductions. Actually, if for all those people who are thinking that there are reductions in the PR paths, in the PR numbers, you will be very, very surprised to know that actually the numbers have not been reduced at all. They are not at the same number at all. They have actually been increased by, I'll tell you how many. The total PR quotas, you know how much they are for this year? I mean, when I'm saying this year, please, I will be saying repeatedly this year. What I mean is for next year, which is 2026, the PR quotas actually are 495,000. I know you will not believe me just like this, right? Until I show it to you, and I will show it to you. Just give me few minutes and I will show it to you. So this is a surprising bit. Liberals have played a beautiful game. Obviously, they have to play to the sentiment of people, where people are saying that, you have to reduce the immigration quotas, the immigration numbers. And of course, by and large, they wanted to keep it balanced. So they kept it at 380,000, which you already by now know. Most of you must have already seen the PR quotas, the PR immigration pathways. I will show that to you. But in a very silent, quiet manner, they have included a small clause, a small subsect in there, which says that they will actually be inviting 115,000 additional people who are not part of these numbers on the immigration levels plan. Did you know that? Did you think that would be included in that manner? But that's how it is. And let's get cracking with this one. I have had a bit of an issue with my screens. So let me see if I can get jump right into it, right? So I will start first of all with the biggest of all big news, and that is the TR to PR, which is being splashed around. When I made a video yesterday, when I announced about this yesterday, and I was already telling you that the videos are going to go bonkers. People are going to be making all these kind of stupid, silly videos saying TR to PR is back, TR to PR is back, and get ready and all that. Of course. So every time there is a pathway which is transitioning temporary residents into permanent residents, it is, whether we like it or not, in some way or the other, a TR to PR program. This levels plan has included that they will have a provision for 33,000 skilled temporary workers who will transition to permanent residents over a period of 2 years. And this is a one-time initiative, right? It's a one-time thing. It won't happen again. It's not something like which they have built in year over year. The best thing is that these numbers are not included within the immigration levels plan either. So they obviously have to be adjusted somewhere. And I'm assuming they will probably be adjusted somewhere within the federal high skilled numbers as well. So that remains. But before I start confusing you with the numbers, let's straight away jump right in. Permanent resident numbers, as you can see, are looking pretty there. 380,000 people for 2026. 380,000 people for 2027, 380,000 people for 2028. Standards, they've kept it all straight, no confusing anybody as to how much to expect next year and the next to expect next year. And again, another surprising bit which has come to my notice is that they have actually reduced the Francophone immigration target. Now, you'll be very surprised as well, because last year when Mark Miller announced the plans, right, and I'm sure you already remember that, the quotas for 2026 for Francophone immigration was supposed to be 9.5%. It was approximately 31,000 people that should have been there in those numbers. Instead, that number has been slightly dropped by 0.5%, and now it is 30,267. That is the Francophone immigration quotas for next year. Now, Francophone immigration quota does not mean that they will invite 31,000. Though this year they have very much sent out more. They already sent out 30,000 invitations, and you never know, they might actually send out some more, considering we still have 2 more months to go. But the fact is that for 2026 they will be looking to bring in 30,267 people under the French French immigration initiatives and targets for people who want to live and settle outside Quebec. So people who are learning French, keep going. You have, they have you covered. They have you covered for 26, for 27, for 28. So if it takes you 1 year, 1.5 years, you guys are covered. You will be taken care of in terms of the immigration levels plan. Next thing that they changed is that they removed the categories and the in Canada focus from the levels plan itself. So earlier, I'm sure you already know that they had the in Canada focus, and then they had the economic priorities. Economic priorities was your category based draws. In Canada focus, by now we all know, was our favorite CEC. But for some reason, it was not favorite of IRCC because they hardly are conducting any draws within that particular stream. So this year, what they have done is for 2026 levels plan, they have simply removed that bifurcation. They have removed a bifurcation because it sort of gives you an optical illusion. And the reason why I'm saying it gives you an optical illusion was because in the previous year's level plan, and I think I should show you that so that we can get a better idea of those numbers as well, right? So very quickly taking a look at this one. Last year in 2025, you had 41,700 as economic priorities, and you had 82,980 as the in Canada focus, right? So the total of these two was expected, rather, is about 124,000 people. Instead, what they have done is they have simply made it at 109,000, optical illusion. The number still looks bigger, but actually that number has been reduced by roughly 15,000 some odd people. 15,000 people have been reduced. But then if you have been watching my videos, if you've been following me, you know I've been saying this, I do not know, ever since we've been talking about immigration levels plan, that they will definitely increase the provincial nominee program. I've been telling you again and again and again, they will increase provincial nominee programs, the quotas, and they have done it because this government wants to play goody-goody. They want to play bhaichara with the, they want to create that, what is that word? The brotherhood atmosphere with all the provinces, right? They want to carry everybody along together. So they wanted to appease the governments, the provincial government, and that number has been increased from 55,000 last year. That number has now gone up to, from 55,000 last year, that number has now gone to 91,500. It's still not what it used to be. Earlier, it used to be 105,000, 120,000 even, but now it is at 91,500. All the provinces will not get the same quotas that they used to get before. They won't get it, right? It will be slightly reduced. For example, Ontario used to be 21,000. They may have to deal with 18,000. BC will have to deal with 8,500. Saskatchewan, Manitoba's, Alberta's will get about 8,500. They will have a slightly reduced number, but it will still be better than what it was for 2025. Therefore, that number, I've always been telling you that the number has to adjust it somewhere, right? So if they increased this number by almost 35-ish, 35,000, 36,500. They increased that number by 36,500. It has to be adjusted somewhere, right? They can't bring that number from anywhere. Well, first of all, this year's targets, had they announced last year, was 380,000. So it has remained at 380,000. Within 380,000, now they have played the game. First of all, they reduced the numbers over here, 15,000. And because they reduced the numbers here, 15,000, they were able to add it over here, which I've been telling you they will be doing it anyways. They have also reduced the federal economic pilots, right? Federal economic pilots should have been 9,920. They have reduced it to 8,175. Okay, so almost 2,000 reduced there. Federal business has become a joke, in my opinion, by now. This earlier was 2,000. They brought it down to 1,000. Should have been 1,000. These are all startup visa applications. And this has now further been dropped to only 5. Can you believe only 500? So all those people who are still selling and like fools, even buying into the startup visa programs, well, you guys should know by now that there is a wait of nearly 35 years if you're still looking for a startup visa application processing. With this, that 35 years will probably now go to almost 60, 70 years. So, I mean, and I also feel this probably will be one of those groups of categories which applications may get cancelled first. So please be aware of that one as well. 2026 levels plan, they have reduced the numbers over here, 15,000. And because they reduced the numbers here, 15,000, they were able to add it over here, which I've been telling you they will be doing it anyways. They have also reduced the numbers 8,175. These are the federal economic, not federal, I mean, these are the economic pilots. Now, in pilots, you will have your caregivers. I'm sure all of you know on 31st of March 2026, you will have home care worker pilot, which will open. It will be included in this. You already know about the agri-food community pilot. It's about 1,000, 1,100 kind of a quotas for that included in this. And then, of course, you have the RCIP, Rural Community Immigration Pilot, also included in this. And then you have the FCIP for French, French community immigration pilot. That is also part of this. So all of these are part of this 8,175, which has been reduced. Another one which has been reduced is the Atlantic Immigration Program. It has been reduced from 5,000 down by 1,000 spots to 4,000, which will hurt a lot of people out there. I know a lot of you were really, really hoping and pinning your hopes on this one. This has also been reduced. Now, obviously, Quebec numbers have not been announced. They usually get announced a bit later on, but you will see about 35,000, approximately give 30 or 35,000. That will be the quotas that will be announced for Quebec skilled workers. But overall, your total is 239,800 for economic immigration for this year, which actually is more than what was Mark Miller's plan for 2026. Mark Miller said 229,000. Mark Carney, and I keep saying Mark Carney and not Lena Diab, because Lena Diab is an absent minister. We didn't even see her today. She was supposed to announce the immigration levels plan. It was all a hush-hush affair. We were sitting glued to our screens waiting that now Lena Diab will do this press conference. Now she will come on the TV. Now she will be talking to the media. No, nothing. So, I mean, so therefore, I keep saying Mark Carney, at least he comes out and says what he has to say. So economic immigration increased by 10,000 people. But when this 10,000 have been increased in economic immigration, obviously the numbers have to go from somewhere. Family was supposed to be 94,500. This year was supposed to be 88,000. Now it has become 84,000. So another 4,000 that you have gotten increased in PNPs have come from family immigration. 84,000 was supposed to be 88, has become 84,000. What else has happened? Refugees and protected persons are now at 49,300. Should have been 55,350. So there you go, 6,000 reduced over there as well. And then your humanitarian and compassionate grounds, only 1,100. From last that I understood, under humanitarian and compassionate grounds, they have roughly 70,000 applications in the inventory. So with that 70,000 in the inventory, this number has gone down. 6,900 for humanitarian and compassionate is what Mark Miller was preparing for, but that has been reduced to 1,100 for humanitarian and compassionate. Instead, they have made another category and called it other and giving it 5,800. And this others is basically specifically Canada's response to situations in Ukraine, Sudan, and Hong Kong. Those will be a separate category for humanitarian and compassionate, and those will be assessed and processed under this specific category. So there you go. This is your immigrations levels plan. No hidden agendas here. We will no, actually there are hidden agendas. We will talk about that in a minute, but no skeletons here, nothing scary here. They're all pretty reasonable. They're all pretty decent. They've pretty much maintained the levels plan. The good thing and the bad thing, let's talk about that, right? I mean, most of you are interested in federal high skilled, which is express entry, and otherwise you are interested in PNP. You know what? Under normal circumstances, if you want to become a permanent resident in Canada, you basically only have these two options. Either you become a permanent resident through express entry, or you become permanent resident through PNPs or any of the pilots, right? The pilots like RCIP, AIP, FCIP, IPIP, API. So this is the only way you become a permanent resident. Now, okay, let me sort of move this camera a bit here. Okay, yeah, much better. Now, if this is how you become a permanent resident, then these are the only two categories you're interested in. Let me make this slightly bigger so we have those numbers here. Where did we go with those numbers? Yes. If you are interested in federal high skill, which is express entry, now let's look at express entry. They have now allotted us 109,000 people for express entry. Now remember, these are not 109,000 ITAs, these are 109,000 people. People basically means, for example, one ITA which has been processed, which is successful, could have multiple people, could be spouses, partners, children. So that one ITA which has been successful and has been processed, you would have gotten 2 people, 3 people, 4 people out of it, and those 4 people will count towards the immigration targets, right? So in order to accommodate 109,000 people, you will probably be having a successful ITAs in the range of 70 to 75,000, right? Because not all ITAs have families, a lot of them are singles as well, right? A lot of international students who finally transition into workers and then PR. Out of these 75,000, of course, there are a lot of ITAs, people get rejected, they get declined, their applications are returned back, and of course they decline their ITAs, they withdraw their ITAs, right? They don't even process. You don't like those people, but those are there, and there is a certain percentage allotted to that. So I would say the number of ITAs that will be issued next year in 2026 is going to be in the range of 80 to 85,000 at most, because you only have quotas for 109,000 people, give or take whatever that might be percentage. With these many ITAs, of course, French will continue to take a huge portion. They haven't given any separate allotment like they gave last year for categories, which was 41,000. This year, they have stayed away from doing that because we made a big hullabaloo about it, right, on social media, saying what is exactly going on? Why are they not giving anything separate? This year, they have not done anything of that sort. But that doesn't mean that this opens the door to federal skilled workers, right? For example, if you're a federal skilled worker, and if you're not in any category, think about it. Do you really have a chance? Even if they were to conduct a general draw today, do you really have a chance as a federal skilled worker? Because your scores can never, ever be 530 plus. You can't. Unless you have a Canadian work experience, unless you have Canadian education, unless you have all of those factors, you cannot be at that factor, right? So federal skilled worker, FSW, is pretty much a dead game in this whole game. The only time the federal skilled workers will actually have a chance is if they are in a category. Now, what are those categories? And that is what you should be most interested in. And no, they haven't announced the categories, to be very honest, but they have given us a little bit of insight. So they are saying they will be targeting top talent. To help make Canada a top destination for global talent, we will prioritize bringing talent to key sectors to support our economy. We will retain top talent through expanding faster processing, a lot of not garbage, so a lot of fluff words. But what they are looking for is these 3 categories. Emerging technologies. Now, I do not know what they mean. I'm sorry. They haven't announced the categories. They haven't told us what categories they will be. But what they are saying is healthcare, skilled trade. Education is missing. Okay, so I do not know if education is going to be part of the categories next year. All it says is that there are 3 key sectors that they're talking about: emerging technologies, healthcare, skilled trades. There is no mention of STEM, there is no mention of agriculture, there is no mention of any of that. But that also does not mean that those categories will not be included. There is going to be before we all jump the gun and we start going into different directions, that is something which we'll have to wait and see. Categories will be announced next year. I know you guys are going to be very anxious. You will keep asking, will STEM be included? Will cooks be included? Will pharmacy be included? With healthcare? Nobody knows. And I for sure don't know. Nobody can give you that answer. So we will all keep playing the speculation game. Yes, it will be included. No, it will not be. You should know. You guys are smart. It's all on the text. Emerging technologies, healthcare, skilled trade. Yes, in the levels plan, they have spoken that they would be recruiting researchers. Okay, they have said that they will bring some attention to senior managers, but that was in the stakeholders meeting. So those categories have not yet been identified. Those have not been spoken about. That has not been published. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the one-time initiatives now that they're talking about. Now, when they say one-time initiatives starting in 2026, please note that there is no details on information. First of all is, and I will go back to this one, and I think here also they have mentioned one-time initiatives. Now, Government of Canada is implementing a one-time initiative over a 2-year period to streamline the transition of 115,000 protected persons in Canada who are already on a pathway to permanent residence and in alignment with their protected status. These admissions are in addition to those identified in the permanent resident target. So you remember in the beginning of the video, I was telling you that they have, in a very sneaky manner, slid 115,000 extra PRs in Canada. So this is how they have done it. They have put it as a footnote. They have put it as an additional text. They are not forming this as part of the PR quotas. Why not? If you have already identified that you will be taking in 115,000 people under protected persons, why are you not including it in your plan? Because they're going to get beaten up black and blue if they were going to include that. So, well, this is politics. Whether you hate it, whether you like it, this is how things are done, right? So they have stuck to 380,000 and they have snuck in the extra 115,000 protected persons because, of course, they want to show that Canada is upholding their obligations for humanitarian conditions. And this is going to be over the next 2 years. Okay. So 115,000 over the next 2 years, protected persons. These are the people whose claims probably have already been approved. They will be getting a quick transition to become permanent residents. They probably will have a refugee claimant approved, etc., etc. So I'm sure most of you are not really worried, but you are certainly worried about, you're certainly looking forward to the next one, which is one-time initiative. And I think it's here as well. One-time initiative. Yes, here. Skilled temporary workers will transition to permanent residence over 2 years. Now, these 33,000 people, they have also not been mentioned separately in the permanent residence immigration levels plan. Now, I do not know if these 33,000 will form part of the FHS, which is federal high skill, or are they in addition? Because if they are in addition, then bombastic. And if they are not in addition to your regular PR quotas, then I don't know which way this is going to go. The interesting bit here is going to be that this is going to be over a period of 2 years. And as so many people have been making these videos and saying that this is going to be TR to PR, just like your COVID and just like this, and get ready and do this and get your IELTS and get, that is all BS, pure BS. Please don't listen to all that. Definitely don't put your immigration strategies and plans on hold thinking there will be some sort of a TR to PR program coming. This TR to PR is a very, very specific. Details are not available, but you have to read between the lines. Okay, so let's read together. Let's read between the lines. It says this is a one-time 2-year initiative in 2026 and 2027. Now, what we don't know is that, is it 33,000 people per year, or is this 33,000 people spread over 2 years? We don't know. This is something which is oh, my live stream on Instagram stopped for some reason. Anyways, we don't know whether this, sorry about that, guys. My live stream on Instagram had just stopped suddenly. So if this 33,000 is over 2 years, then understandable. So there will be about 16,000 people over, yeah, there are some stupid people saying stupid things. So we are just going to get rid of them. Hold on. But it's a one-time program, 2-year initiative to fast track permanent residence for skilled temporary workers who are already contributing to communities, working in Canada in specific in-demand sectors with a focus of those in rural areas. Now, there are so many components here which will then become your criteria to become eligible. What are those components? Skilled temporary workers. So basically means you will have to be in Canada with a work permit for sure. Who are already contributing to communities means that not only do you have to be on a temporary worker, on a work permit in Canada, you should have already been working, or you should already have had specific period of work experience. That work experience could be definitely can't be 6 months, because there is no contribution with 6 months. You're looking at about 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I do not know how long that is going to be, but I'm assuming at least 1 year is going to be the minimum here. Are working in Canada. We are already said that you have to have your work permit valid and you're working in Canada in specific in-demand sectors. Now, this is going to be the tricky one. Who are this? Which sectors are this going to be? Is it going to be healthcare? Going to be trades? Going to be senior managers? Going to be I do not know, some scientific researchers, education categories? Which categories? This is something which will keep confusing all of us until that information becomes public, with a focus on those in rural areas. Now, that is something which you need to start concentrating on. And if I was you, I would be making a beeline to any rural community that I could think of, in the sense which will be giving me this advantage. Now, of course, you're thinking which rural community? One way to look at it could be any of the RCIP communities, because those are part of the rural programs, right? That is one way of doing it. But definitely moving away from the metro area. So you want to take advantage of this 33,000 skilled worker transition plan. And because this is over 2 years, means so people will very quickly find out very quickly that which are the communities, which are the programs, which are the trades. And then, of course, you can start planning your journeys accordingly. But in the meantime, my suggestion to you is, please do not fall into the trap of all those people who are trying to tell you that COVID TR to PR is coming. This is not COVID. This is not TR to PR of the same manner. This TR to PR is completely different. This has got nothing to do with what was happening during COVID. So please be very careful. Now, I know it says 33,000 over 2 years, and therefore, whether they accept all 33,000 in the first year and then process them in the next 2 years, possible. Or will they split them, 16,500 this year, 16,500 next year? Also possible. The reason why I'm saying that is that when they did, like, for example, just to give you an understanding, right? When they actually had the TR to PR program in 2021 during COVID, they did take 90,000 people, but they were processed over the next 3 years, and their quotas were assigned every single year, 40,000, 25,000, 25,000. Like, they split it again. So very much possible that that's how they're going to play it out. Very well, they could sort of pick up 33,000 people and then clear them over the next 2 years. Now, there is something else that was there in these immigration levels plan, which I spoke about yesterday. I can't find that information right now. Yeah, I'm not going to try and find it for you right now, because it will just add this. Sorry. H1B workers. Now, this was something else that has come up. IRCC has included, they have included another initiative whereby they would be creating an accelerated pathway for H1B workers. Well done. If you are going to create a pathway for H1B workers, 2023, they had 10,000 H1B workers that they had a plan for. They invited these 10,000 people. This program was in 24, or I think 48, I can't remember, 24 to 48 hours. This program got completely fixed, was completely taken up quickly. So 10,000, more than 10,000, actually more than 10,000 people applied under that scheme. But not a lot of them actually came to Canada. Now, I do not have the exact numbers. I think I heard about less than 25%. I do not have the exact numbers, but so that program did not really yield any specific results for Canada. It was usually the people whose H1Bs were expiring. They no longer had any options in the US. They probably were applying, but a lot of them who applied for Canada as a backup just in case, but they never really came to Canada. They didn't even activate their work permits, a lot of them. And now Canada is again identifying the problems that are happening in the US with regards to their H1Bs and becoming more difficult. So they want to offer a pathway, accelerated pathway for H1B workers. And by offering these accelerated pathways for H1B workers, if we are really that desperate for talent, shouldn't we be looking in-house in Canada? There are hundreds and thousands of tech and healthcare people in Canada right now working LMIA work permits, ICT work permits, C10 work permits, C12 work permits, C20 work permits. These guys are in thousands, and they are desperate in the sense they're desperate in the sense because by removing the LMIE and the job offer points, we have pretty much shut the door on them. Why? Because most of them are not in 28, 29 age. They're all 33, 34, 35, 36 kind of an age. They probably are already drawing decent salaries, excess of 100K per year. And yet, you want to get people who are in a different country who definitely don't want Canada as an end goal. Even if they will take Canada, they will just simply come to Canada and springboard back to the US once they get their passport. Canada is, you cannot convince them to come to Canada. Your salaries are 40% less than what people make in the US. There is never going to be a comparison. You cannot beat that. So are you really saying that somebody who is drawing a decent package in the US on an H1B is actually willing to come to Canada and make Canada their home long term? No chance, brother. No chance. So the reason why this is happening is only because they want to eventually springboard back to the US, and Canada will be stupid to lose out on such wonderful talent that they already have, because these guys, their work permits will eventually expire. They will not have any PR pathway. They will eventually leave, of course. But instead, they want to bring on these people who will absolutely have no loyalty towards a country, probably will leave in 2 to 4 years at most once they get their passports, and will say thank you Canada for giving us a way back into the US, because they will get the TN visas easily and off they will go. But who are we to say all those things, right? I mean, it's not something which we can do. While we were talking about all these things, there is also something else that we need to talk about, and that is where did we go? Yeah, found it again. Bring it back. No, not this screen. This screen. Yes. The temporary resident plans, right? So last year, the immigration levels plan also included for the first time temporary residents. We had about 670,000 people. 673,650 in 2025. For 2026, that number was supposed to be 516,000. What have they done? They have reduced it to 385,000. Why did the number drop? The number dropped here. International students, big time. The number of workers has pretty much remained the same, has actually gone up. Last time they said they will have 210,000. Now they are saying they will have, keep saying this one. Now they are saying they will have 230,000. So that number has gone up by 20,000. But international students, Canada is closing doors to the international students in 2026, in 2027, in 2028. Now, this will then tell you that in coming days, times, and years, when the number of international students who are coming to Canada is less, automatically, the number of people who will be applying for work permits, which is your postgraduate work permits, spouse open work permits, etc., that number will be less. And over a period of time, as the time progresses, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, this number will start balancing out, because you have less students means less temporary workers, means less number of people in Canada, less number of people who can get to the CEC scores, and therefore the scores will drop. Scores are not going to drop anytime soon. Now, if you have been watching whatever I do, then you already know that the scores are not going to be dropping anytime soon. We have already spoken about the concurrent work experience. We have already seen how people are desperately adding more express entry scores by way of their concurrent foreign work experience and taking advantage of that. With that in tow, next year, with 109,000 people as the immigration target, French still ruling the roost, I would say between the other categories, except the French, between other categories and CECs, the total number of ITAs for the whole year is going to be in the range of 40 to 45,000. That will be split between CECs, healthcare, trade. I don't know if education is going to be there. I will say senior managers. I'm going to put my neck on the line there. I'm going to say some sort of scientific or scientists included in there. Probably some shape or form of STEM, I would say, because mind you, as much as the fact that this year STEM draws have not happened, I don't know why. Could be the same reason as to why they are holding back on the trades draw, because they identified cooks are there in the trades draw. They already have oversubscribed the draws to have that many cooks, which they didn't want. They wanted the carpenters, they wanted the welders, they wanted some other technicians, which they are not getting because of the cooks being included. We have already got ATIP notes. We've already discussed that on social media itself, and therefore they're holding back. I have a feeling probably STEM has a similar situation where they may be holding back STEM draws, because I know for a fact STEM was part of the plan. And the reason why I know, I'm not sure if you guys are willing to wait for a bit so I can show you where I have that information. I can show that to you. We recently got an ATIP notes where we asked them for the levels plan as to what are they doing or the category plans they had for last year. And based on that, they did include STEM as part of their categories. Now, what they didn't include was the actual numbers. They didn't give us any numbers on that. So if you will give me one moment, I will pull that up, because I know there are a lot of people who think that STEM is not. I found it. Hold on. It was part of the ATIP notes. Let me share the screen with you, because I know a lot of you are still thinking, why? Give me a moment. I can pull this up. I will pull it up for you. There you go. So this was not immigration levels plan. This was for the category rounds plan that we asked IRCC to provide. This is not my Excel sheet. I know a lot of you basically, oh, what happened? It sort of vanished. Give me a moment. I don't know. Something is acting funny with my computer again today. It has been happening for a bit. Nope, it won't work. Sorry, it won't work. But I can tell you that this is something which was part of the STEM, was part of the plan. But for some reason, they decided not to conduct the draws. Anyways, so that was pretty much where we are today. Immigration levels plan. Now you're already aware of what's happening. They did sneak in 115,000 extra numbers there over the next 2 years. They are also looking at extra 33,000, which I don't know whether it forms part of the immigration levels plan or not, but that number doesn't show up anywhere. Now, this is where things become interesting, right? So if you wanted to invite, then why haven't you included them? This has been the interesting bit. 115,000 extra under the protected person, 33,000 under the one-time initiative. It will be for specific occupations. It will be for people who are in Canada on a work permit with at least 1 year of work. I mean, I'm thinking 1 year work experience, and who probably are in specific rural areas. We do not know which ones those are going to be. More details will come when they will come. And of course, we will talk to you when that happens. Until then, okay, why you shouldn't have done that, you guys. But anyways, very quickly, let's take this. Can someone on maintained status submit a web form with AOR to apply for Bridge Open Work Permit? Chances for approval? Well, yes, you can. And chances for approval will depend entirely on discretion of IRCC. But in our experience, the chances remain high. So you should do it. CEC is part of FHS, so we can expect CEC draw in the range of 530. Absolutely. CEC is part of federal high skilled, and I absolutely will be in the favor of CEC draws continuing. They will continue. I see no reason why those draws will not continue. What do you believe the future holds for CEC, and what specific figures do you anticipate for CEC? Well, I don't have any specific figures because very difficult to get that number right. And that is primarily because we don't know what kind of number of draws kind of a plan they have. I feel that now we still have 2 more months. I mean, 1.5 month more, no, actually 2 months more to go in this year. I feel there could be one more CEC draw this year, which will be of a decent size. Why? Because all these draws that are happening now are for next year, right? They're all meant to be for next year for from the 2026 quota. So now that the 2026 quotas are out and people know what they are, there is no reason IRCC cannot issue the draws anymore. So I feel there could possibly be one decent size CEC draw this year itself before we jump into the next one and then go into the regular draws next year. And therefore, yes, if that happens, I do anticipate that the scores could go lower, even to 525 as this person is asking. And with that happening, yeah, you will have a good chance there. Are they going to scrap education category? I don't know. They haven't said anything about education anywhere. And as I said, there will be too much of speculation on this. But then they haven't said anything about specifically about any other category either, whether agriculture or STEM, or they haven't given too much of detail about trades, etc. So let's not speculate on those. Let's wait for the categories to be announced next year. Then we will have a much better idea. Ontario general draw by the end of the year, I can't tell you. I have no idea absolutely about any kind of draws, when they will happen, when they will not happen, when they can happen. Guys, please don't do super chats. I'm not going to be doing any more questions on this one. 531 after 2 years in Feb, mostly work 60 hours, only 2 weeks with 24 hours. Would IRCC add my overtime? Yes, they would add your overtime as long as it is 30 hours per week. You can count that period of work for your legit work experience. What could be the future of category-based draws? I think they will continue. I don't see any reason for them to not continue with the category-based draws. That is one way they can really, blow the pipe, saying that we are trying to marry the immigration levels with our manpower shortage or labor shortage. So I don't see categories going anywhere. In future, they may be looking to change some categories, or they might be looking to make some more conditions in there. I hope they do. But at this point of time, I think the categories are remaining the same. Probably will change the occupations in some categories. What are the chances of getting an express entry or trades draw with the CRS of 508? It looks difficult at this point of time, unless the regular draws start and they start conducting draws frequently, then there is a possibility. I do not know about nuclear industry. As of right now, that there is nothing there which suggests that is in priority, but they are looking at scientists and researchers. If that is the case, then you may have a shot at it. Another good live stream coming to an end. Thank you so much for joining in. This has been lovely. Congratulations to everybody. We have 109,000 new slots for next year, 33,000 extra bonus. I mean, who doesn't love bonus? And more importantly, 115,000 extra slots for protected person. Overall, a win-win for everybody. Thank you so much. Stay forever hopeful, and I shall see you next time.